another episode of Keepin Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Schroet, joined as always by Urbana's finest Kevin Ducey. What's up, Kevin, after another victorious, wonderful Illini Thanksgiving weekend, right?
Absolutely, dude. 9-3, man. Like nine wins, Ryan. Like that's something phenomenal. It was a great week. It was a great weekend in more ways than one. Obviously, the basketball team won. We got some great recruiting news. It was
multiple great recruiting news. They picked up a JUCO stud linebacker, Ismail Conte, who had offers from Kansas State and California recently, from Iowa Community College, Iowa Central Community College. Illinois. We're going to get to Illinois basketball's win over Arkansas. But one thing before we bring our guest on here is that 9 wins. We're all excited about that. But I think this is just the start of something to get used to with Grant Beerman. I think we saw it 2 years ago. You see all the guys he's putting in the league. You see them making – you see Sidney Brown, Chase Brown, Quan Martin, all these guys, doing things in the league. And that team 2 years ago was full of them. That team was a 9-10 win team that just had some shit luck. Let's just be honest, Kevin.
I'll get into it a little bit more later on my thoughts on that, but I agree. I agree to a point. It was really hard. I was probably over my skis thinking what it was going to be like to replace those guys, especially in the secondary and Tommy DeVito and Chase Brown. But you know what? It's a bounce back year. That's team's primed to have a great year next year and adding talent all the time.
So, eyes on the future, big things ahead for Illini football. Let's bring in Grant Beerman. How you doing, Grant?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, dude, our pleasure. Kev, I know you've got several questions you'd like to jump into, and I've got a few as well. So, congrats again on the commit. And you're just joining, to me, you're joining a train, a locomotive that's just ready to hit the steam going. So, fun time for Illini football. Go ahead, Kev.
Is locomotive the right term? I'm sorry. Thinking about another school.
Oh, sorry for the no bad pun intended. And I do mean that. That was not on purpose. I didn't mean that. So,
Grant, it's one of the questions I always ask you guys, and it's one of the things that I'm proud of. Frankly, it's because I don't have a degree from the University of Illinois. My wife's got 3 from there, so that's enough for one family. But why Illinois? And then furthermore, did academics play a part in it? Because obviously you were committed to Purdue. Purdue's a great school as well. Like, just why Illinois, and did academics factor in?
Yeah, so I think a big thing when you think of Illinois is family. I think that's what Coach B has really brought to Illinois. It's the family message. I think, to say in simple terms, that's really why I came here. The family bond, the connection that the coaches and the players have, that played a big role. But academics did play a huge part in my commitment. Obviously, I went to Purdue, really good academics there. Really, anywhere in the Big Ten, you can get a good degree, but the Geese Business School really stands out to me because I want to get a business major. So being able to play at a high level while getting high academics in the Big Ten, that really speaks to me, and I think it speaks to a lot of people in the recruitment.
Right on.
Yeah, with this new revenue sharing, like the Big Ten is just knocking it out of the park. So obviously that's a good thing. Now with this year's team, obviously Illinois had been in on you even when you had committed to Purdue. I know they had been recruiting you. What is it? Was it Coach Archie and Coach Henry that you'd gotten to know the most? Who did you kind of form a bond with and feel like that this is a place that I want to go, and I feel like these guys can get me to where I want to be?
Yeah, so originally after my commitment with Purdue, Coach McDaniel and then Coach Morgan, the assistant linebackers coach, those were the main 2 guys. But my recruitment was really taken over by Coach B in the last 2 weeks. I'd say that played a major role because I was really able to connect with Coach B. He would call me and my family almost every night for an hour, which you really don't see from any other head coach in the nation. So that was a big thing for me.
I've heard that he does that. I mean, not that he treats any recruit differently, but I've heard when he really wants somebody, he takes the lead. That's what I've heard. So you should take some great pride in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Have you? Now, this is a personal question because, like, I consider Aaron Henry a personal friend. As a matter of fact, he FaceTimed me on Thanksgiving. I was kind of shocked by that. It's his birthday as well. I sent him a happy birthday, happy Thanksgiving, and he gave me a ring from the office. Have you had a chance to connect with Coach Henry?
Sorry, can you restate that? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, no problem. Have you had a chance to develop a relationship with Coach Henry?
Yeah, I have for sure. I would say it's definitely been developed in the last part of my recruitment. I would say my best is obviously with Coach McDaniel and Coach Morgan, but Coach Henry is something I've definitely expanded on the last couple of weeks. Getting to know him a bit better, but it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to expanding on in the future and really getting to know him well.
Right on.
Now, and we got any fan questions here. I'll pick one or two at the end, and we'll ask Grant if you have any. So, just so they know, that's not a Wisconsin W on your shirt.
No, this is Lakota West football.
Yeah, Lakota West football for anybody wondering. It's a now we discussed a little bit before we came on. You're more of an outside. Is that outside linebacker? Is that where you think that the staffs want you to probably play and start you out there?
Yeah. So what the staff told me, what the plan was is I'll play like a dog position, so I can be moved from inside to outside, be a versatile linebacker where I can go off the edge, really go into coverage, do really whatever they need me to do. And for me, I'm open to doing any of that. I like to be in the position where I can just contribute to the team and help out in any way. So playing that dog position.
As you've seen them, and I'm sure you watched the Northwestern game at Wrigley Field, what is it about how they play defensively? Obviously, you would care to play at a school that maybe will fit your skill set. What do you like about how they use their linebackers and how Coach Henry's defensive schemes have kind of been?
Yeah, so I think the scheme really contributes to my assets, or I can play sideline to sideline. I think a big thing that helps me is my size and my length and speed. So being able to play out in the field, being able to run sideline to sideline, that's a really big thing. And I think Coach McDaniel, Coach Henry, I think they do a really good job of coaching that with their linebackers. Malachi Hood, great example this weekend, just how they use him. And I really think I can elevate my game into how he's playing.
Now, Grant, you obviously I expect you to come on here with a level of grace and you treat us with nothing but respect. Have you ever heard of the term switch guy?
I have not.
Okay, so there's certain guys that are just pure gentlemen, day in and day out through their life. I mean, they're yes sir, no ma'am kind of people, treat everybody around them with respect and dignity, and just really kind people. And then the second they put on their football helmet, and when you said the dog position, this made me think of it, they become an animal, right? And it's like they flipped a switch. Is that kind of you, or because you just seem like such a nice kid, but I've watched your highlight, I watched your film, I see this dude knocking the bejesus out of people. Are you that kind of guy?
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing you need to have at the linebacker position. Obviously, any position on the field, you need to have that mindset. But when you're, when you're in the middle of contact, at least how we play linebacker and how Illinois is going to play linebacker, you have to have that mindset. It's either, kill or be killed on the football field, especially as you play in the Big Ten, a run-heavy offense. If the running back's coming right at you, you got to take him out. You can't just go in there calling him sir. You're going to get killed. So.
Call him sir when you pick him up off the ground.
You know what? You could plant them into the ground and then offer a hand, just to you know who the man is. I am curious, what is it about that Coach Beerman loves about your skill set and what you're going to bring to the table? Because I can tell you this, while guys like Dylan Rosiak on the team, who's out injured now, not a lot of speed there. Was he wanting to upgrade the speed and a little bit of athleticism at the linebacking position?
Yeah, so a big thing that stood out is when I had my meeting on my OV with Coach Beerman, he pulled up actual tape from when he coached at New England, when he was the outside linebacker coach. So he brought up some comparisons about how I can be like those guys with my length, using my arms to separate myself, but also the speed, like you just said. He thinks that's where I can accelerate my game. I can use my length, but also use my speed and add those together. and really create some damage on the defensive side.
Now, that being said, obviously you're an athlete, and those who haven't seen, you can just Google Grant, and you can find some film on him. Huddle's got some great stuff out there. I'd encourage all the Illinois fans out there to watch that. You're obviously really athletic. What are you, 6'4", 220? Is that what I read?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, with that being said, did you play any other sports growing up? And
yeah.
When did you? Are you still playing other sports, or are you having to leave that behind?
Well, I started off at basketball, and I played basketball from a young age. I quit my freshman year just because I played my football season and I lost 10 pounds just running sideline or on the court. So I quit that sophomore year. Also, I played some rec basketball with a bunch of the O-line and D-line, which was funny. But then during my sophomore and junior year, I did track. And so I ran the 400 meter. That was my main thing. I ran a time. I got up to the 50s, which was really good for me. And then this last year, I was trying to do the 100 and 200, which for me, it kind of looked weird seeing a big, tall white guy run on the track in the 100 meter against all these small dudes. But no.
Were you in the 4.6 40s? Is that what I heard, or is that?
Yeah, I was. I ran a 4.54 at Duke, hand timed, which was my best time. And then I ran a 4.47 laser at Kentucky. So that's where I'm trying to, just improve on that number. But yeah, I did some track and then I quit because I was running and I just pulled my hamstring, or I kind of strained it, but I'm all recovered from that. So luckily I was good to go by football season and hit some people.
Now, briefly before, I know Kev, you'll have maybe one more, and then we'll see if we have any fan questions. So big, obviously, we didn't create this. So you have a teammate named Cam Thomas who chose to mention and tag Illinois fans and Illinois, he's got his top list, and then you committed. He's like, really, Illini fans, is this the move? So I'm guessing you're already putting your recruiting hat on, trying to help out, right?
Yeah. So the funny story about it is me and my dad were talking about it today. Cam and his dad are the ones that actually told me about how great Illinois was, because I was committed and he took a visit up there, and I had never been on campus before. And he really just ranted about how great it was. So I can say right there, that obviously shows his interest. So it makes it a bit easier for me now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can definitely tell you I'll put on the recruiting hat and help out. I think I might be able to work my ways and try and get him to join the family.
I can tell you, he doesn't seem like he might be a very difficult sell if he's the one telling you how great it was already.
No, you're not wrong about that. So I'm hoping, get him on OV, host him, and then that'll make it easy.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's still tons more for 2025. They've got it's a lot of things in the works. I really doubt you'll be the last. Well, for December class, don't they have a February one, right, Kev, as well, that they'll have?
It'll be a late signing in February.
Okay, yeah. So there'll be some more. I think this class is going to end up being really, really, really good. So, what you got? One more for him, Kev?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. Grant, you're planning on enrolling soon, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So my plan is to sign December 4th. I'm going to enroll early, and I'm hoping that I can practice with the team during bowl prep.
Dude, that's awesome. What do you feel? Obviously, you talked about your speed. I think you got plenty of it. Keep that hamstring intact. What do you feel, and what have the coaches told you need to work on the most to start seeing the field as soon as you can? And then how does someone in your shoes take it as it's so weird because if you're a 4-star basketball recruit, you're playing 20 minutes a night almost anywhere you go immediately. But when you're a 4-star football recruit, sometimes you're not seeing the field to the third year. How are you prepping for those two things? So what do you need to get better on, and how does one take the mindset I might not play a lot as a freshman, and I'm okay with that?
Yeah. So some might say that my height's my biggest advantage, but it can also be my biggest disadvantage. So my biggest thing is just focusing on maintaining, staying low. Sometimes if you watch on my film, I can rise up, and that can end up costing me. So my biggest thing that the coaches want me to focus on is, just being able to stay fluid with how low I get, because the lower I get, the more power I can have and the more explosive I can be. So that's a big thing. And then a thing as coming in with that 4-star, but, maybe not playing, I'm totally okay with that. I know that because my biggest thing, I've had talks with coaches. I might think I'm ready, but I might go out in the field and I'll embarrass myself, or I might even injure myself because I'm not ready. So a big thing for me is just being mentally prepared and physically prepared as best as I can. And whether that's year 1, year 2, year 3, that's okay with me because I know it's part of the process. And that's kind of what I think about is, high school. Freshman year, I played freshman team. Sophomore year, I got injured, was playing a bit of JV, and then finally got a chance on varsity. So just steps, baby steps to finally get in the big moment. Because I know junior or senior year, whether I play year 1, year 2, or by then, it's all worth it for the big moments. Playing Ohio State, playing Michigan, playing those big teams, and beating them.
2 things here. One, so Jason, who does like autograph signings and he's like an NIL kind of agent or whatever for players. He mentioned to keep your DMs open. He'll be in touch with you soon. And I said, you're pretty cool. You answered my direct message. So I guarantee, Jason, you shoot Grant a direct message, he's going to answer you.
He does a lot of great things for signings, put some cash in your pocket, let you eat some better meals, which leads to the next question.
So Barry asks Grant, what is your go-to cheat meal?
My cheap meal?
Or can you just eat anything because you're a big hoss and you just burn it off?
Absolutely, dude. This guy's trying to put on weight.
Yeah, really anything. I feel like I'm not that picky, so I can do anything. You put anything in front of me, especially as I'm trying to gain weight. I'm hoping, right now 220, near 220, might be a bit down. Hopefully, I'm probably going to have to gain 10 or 20 pounds, so just put anything in front of me and I'll eat it.
So, Kev, tell him really quick, since he's going to be living in Champaign soon, give him a couple places to help him eat that's going to help him put on some weight besides the Illinois staff.
Right, yeah. Everybody knows, Papa Del's is a spot. La Bamba's is a place to get a massive burrito. Everybody will tell you about the campus spot. Do you like Mexican food?
I do. Yes, sir.
Huarachi's Morleone in Urbana. Good stuff, dude. I'm telling you, they got the best, in my opinion, one of the best brunches in town. You can go with straight pancakes and eggs, or you can get a bomb ass breakfast burrito. So Huarachi's Morleone in Urbana, dude. It's phenomenal. Right. Great people, family owned. Like I'm a big fan of that. And then there's obviously Black Dog and Maze. You'll learn about all those. You'll know all the name places, but Huarachi's might be a little bit off the beaten path for you.
Last one from our boy Justin Began, and we'll let you go, Grant. He says, not sure how much you followed this year's team, but how does the success the program has had this year motivate you to help take the program to the next step? Like, obviously, you're an Ohio kid. You have a chip on your shoulder, and you enjoyed the big game. We talked about it a little bit earlier. So how would you seeing another Big Ten program that believes in you, who's trying to ascend, how does that help motivate you?
Yeah, I think it's just a big statement on what Coach B can do or what he's done so far. And with how much talent we have coming in, I think it's just it's kind of just a sample of what's to come. Obviously beating Michigan, who cares if it's their down year? Because we're just going to beat up on them, and that's the plan. That's always been the mindset. It doesn't matter, underdog. I think next year we won't even be the underdog because I think this is the standard. 9-3, I don't think that would be good enough in a couple of years. So I'm really excited. It definitely motivates me because I have an option to be a part of this program and hopefully try and contribute and lead them. And that's the goal. I come from Lakota West, which is a really good football school. And I'm not trying to say this to be cocky, but all I'm used to is winning. And so that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to continue that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to express this when you're on an interview, and we want to be respectful of your time. But like, dude, Illinois fans will listen. It's like, go look up Lakota West and see the kids that they put in D1 programs. Grant, just you talk about, you got to see the field some as a sophomore and junior. Like, it's incredible. So yeah, man, that's awesome. Hey, I want to just share one thing. Like, I'm going to share one final thought with you before you go. And I could say this as a 46-year-old crusty old man. Like, I want you to remember one thing, and that's why I asked the academic questions. Is like, you are Grant Beerman, a guy who happens to play football. Now, you happen to be really, really damn good at playing football, but you're Grant Beerman first. You're a son first. You're a child of God first. You're all those things. Football just happens to be what you do. Never forget that, okay? Because and I know all the effort. Well, I actually don't know because I didn't put that effort in. And, you know, I was 6'4", 200 pounds when I was in high school, and I didn't play anywhere because I didn't put the effort in.
He enlisted in the military, though, so let's cut him some slack here.
Yeah, because I didn't take school seriously. Let's be real here. But I just want you. I never want you to forget that, right? Understand your priorities. That you are a man who plays football, and you do it really damn well, and put your energies and efforts into that. But like, you can't play football forever. You can be a son and a father and a dad and a husband and all that stuff down the line until you die. So like that's just my little tips I like to give to you young men. That I don't ever want you to like turn off that football switch until it's time to turn it off. But understand you're Grant Beerman, the guy who plays football, not the football player Grant Beerman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we appreciate you coming on. And you know what? Down the road, I'll be in touch with you again, and we'll check in with you in your progress and see how everything's going for you in this summer, spring, into next season. So we appreciate you, Grant. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Stay healthy. Stay healthy. God bless, young man.
Yes, sir.
And that's how you start an episode. So,
you think you can give us maybe?
What'd you say? Yeah. I was about to say.
Before dumb question, does he think he can give us that?
Yeah, I didn't mean to click that, but it's okay.
No, it's okay. But I think this is a real thing. I talked with Grant briefly before we kicked on the show, and like, Illinois went 9-3 this year, frankly, and I'm not trying to bash any of the guys on the team, and I don't think anybody who watches the show religiously or even occasionally would ever expect this of me. But like, I think we won 9 games with 6-6 talent. I think we won 9 games with 5-7 talent, maybe 7-5, maybe.
Yeah, I picked like, 7-5, and you picked 6-6. I think we both thought that was reasonable, right?
Right, and the fact is, like, we talk about it in our chat that we have on Twitter a lot of like, and I'm not trying to bash Dylan Rosiak, but he's not the most athletic guy. He's not getting looked at to play in the NFL as a middle linebacker. This young man, he's a top 500 kid. Like, this is a level of recruiting at that position that we haven't seen. Now, granted, we got guys like Gabe Yakis, who was a diamond in the rough. Granted, we got Johnny Newton, who's a diamond in the rough, but we haven't got many of the guys that are at this level. And then occasionally when we have, they haven't produced. Was Beeson is the guy that comes to mind. But I'm just, this is a big deal, getting a kid like this at a position like that on this Illinois defense and what we want to do. And furthermore, if his teammate Cam Thomas, who is another high 4-star true middle linebacker, and I do believe that Grant can play some middle linebacker. He's probably a little tall to play it down in and down out, but he's a guy who you probably want to let loose, come after the passer, probably built more like a Seth Coleman. It's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal. It's a big deal what Illinois is doing right here, getting a kid like that.
Illinois won 9 games. Has won 9 games for the first time since 2007. And here's something else. Like, I love, Bielema going at Lane Kiffin on X. I don't know if you saw that or not, Kev.
Yeah.
What he says is valid, and I will say this: I don't think Illinois has a top 12 resume, and that's okay.
I don't think they do either.
But they have a top 20 resume, and to see these SEC teams that think just because they're in the SEC means that they should just get gifted in is baloney. Ole Miss, Illinois has a better record and resume than Ole Miss, okay? So people can say, oh, well, they didn't – who'd they win? Who'd they beat? Do you realize if Illinois hadn't beat all these different teams, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you'd have Nebraska would be a 7-5 team that blew multiple opportunities, and you'd have Kansas would be a bowl team now, and who beat Colorado, Iowa State, BYU, and then you'd have an 8-4 Rutgers team. You'd have an 8-4 Michigan team. So I'm just saying Illinois beat these teams, and they were quality teams. They don't have to be just because they weren't in the SEC, So Illinois had no bad losses. The Minnesota loss isn't bad. It just hurts because you knew they could have won the game. Like one game a year, and they were not, what you'd say, ran out of the building against Penn State. They were not, people say, oh, yeah, you guys got blown out. It wasn't even close to a blowout. They were soundly beaten at the line of scrimmage. But you know what? Sometimes teams show up and have things go their way, and Illinois could have easily had that game tied at the end of the game.
And you know why we lost games like that against Minnesota and Penn State, and why it looked like that? Because they had 4-star kids like Grant Beerman on their team. They had 4-star kids like Keam Thomas on their team. They had 4-star quarterbacks and above like Michael Clayton Jr. on their team. They had 4-star junior college kids that are committing to Illinois like we're getting right now. We have some of them, dude. And Gabe Yakis is the one I keep going back to, is he was a 3-star kid. But as soon as he got on campus, everybody knew he wasn't a 3-star kid, right? And, same with Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton was a 3-star kid, and it didn't take very long. They're like, dude, this kid's not a 3-star kid. So it's one of those things you got to start recruiting at that level, and Illinois is starting to make its inroad. Hey, listen, you can see it in the game on Saturday. Granted, Aiden Lawfrey, phenomenal game. Really excited to see what he did, but you notice a different juice in Khalil Valentine. We see Khalil Valentine, and we know it's just he's just a step away. He's just 5 pounds away. He's just that away from being a spectacular running back in this offense, and that's because that's a 4-star kid, right? And so that's the difference, and that's where this program is moving toward, is that Brett Bielema can do a lot with above-average talent. What can he do when he has good talent?
And so you've seen me. I'm not just a defender of Aaron Henry because he's been a friend to us, but this is what I look at. I'm a numbers guy when it comes to how your offense is doing and how your defense is doing. And, at the end of the day, you are what your record says you are. And Illinois' defense was a statistical top 40 defense. It was number 1 in the league in forced fumbles. It was number 4 in interceptions. And as you told me, what'd you say about sacks?
They were 4th. I had to look at it. 2 games ago, they were number 1 in the conference in sacks in conference games only.
Okay, and so they were number 4 in sacks. Okay. So my point is for people to bitch and complain because they did some schemes we didn't like sometimes, and some teams got some more yards on us that they didn't like. Like at the end of the day, every team could complain about something about their defense. You know what I mean? Like there were games when Ohio State had 30-some points put on them. And yes, I want you guys to all know this. What made that 2022 defense was so special was there was so much NFL talent on it. This year's defense, that's not what this year's defense is. And
I think at the same time, though, Ryan, is that defense, and the reason why we lost a couple games late, Michigan State and Purdue, is the guys behind them. There wasn't a Malachi Hood to come in and replace the Dark Angel. There wasn't a JoJo Hayden, right? 4-star kid, right? There wasn't a Daniel Brown. They lacked the depth to deal with any kind of replacements from some of their top level players. And, there wasn't a Mac Resetich who was a diamond in the rough. Right. And so there was a level of this that there was a Matt Bailey, and he was a diamond in the rough as well. But this team is starting to move in a level of when you lose a Dylan Rosiak, you replace him with the James Krutz. It's not a huge fall off. And then you rotate in a Malachi Hood, and you bring in a JoJo Hayden or a Joe Barna. So there's just there's a lot more depth that's already coming up the ranks.
But you see the conversations going on in X. Why is it, though, that when you go from really, really bad last year to like above average, why that jump's not good enough for why is that not good enough for a chunk of the fan base? That's what I'm just confused on.
Well, I think the problem is when you look at the worst 2 teams in the conference from an offensive standpoint, it's probably Purdue and Northwestern, and they had their 2 best days in conference play from an offensive perspective. against
Yeah, but
Illinois.
let's be honest though. Luke Altmaier gave them 7, so
Gave both of them 7. Gave both of them 7.
Yeah, so technically, Illinois really only gave up 21 to Northwestern. And at the end of the day, when you're up 18, I could care less if you give a garbage touchdown away. You know,
we were playing soft. Listen, we did not have a lot of effort being put in on that last final drive.
No,
right?
so like really, they gave up. I would say that was a 14 to 7 point defensive effort they gave to Northwestern.
It wasn't like when Northwestern was going down to score in 2021, and we were 4-7, and we ended up beating them to go 5-7, and we were trying to hold them out of the end zone. Right? There's just we had that game wrapped. We're a 9-3 team. It's a big difference. So, and Charles is right. We have PTSD. We do.
Yeah, and I just wanted that out there because to me, I just didn't get it because I'm like, we just expect them to be better. We just want them to be better, right? That's what we needed. You got to be better. No one said they had to be in the top 5 of the league and have to be a top 15 national defense. I think if you asked any of these teams that didn't make a bowl game, right, whose defense was really, really bad, if you would take a top 40 scoring defense and be a leader in a couple categories within the league, have several games where you keep teams under 21 and under, I guarantee you they'd sign up for that. So I just want to and yes, we would like to see a little more improvement in year 3. That's fair. But to say that this dude needs to be fired though, Kevin, that's what bothers me.
Oh, I agree. But I mean, it's a subject few. It's a loud few that are saying it. And I don't believe that people listen, he's not getting fired. So you can just put those hopes aside. I think it would be. I think Grant Beerman has some work cut out to do this year, and in a different way. He's now in 2 of the last 3 seasons. He's got an 8-win team plus. He saw an offense that finished basically in the top 6 of the Big Ten this year. The question is, does Barry Lunny Jr. get a job offer at a small school? Right? Does Archie McDaniel or is it Corey Palmer, right? Do some of these guys get promotional opportunities at smaller schools? That's the challenge. The challenge is not going to be whether or not Brett Bielema fires anybody. The guy I would have the biggest question marks with is Bart Miller. Yeah. But the question is, and I don't think you fire him after a 9-3 season. The question is, can you retain the staff? And it's going to be the same question with the players, right? Can we retain the players that are on this team? Because we have 16 returning starters eligible to come back. I do think Gabe Yakis is going pro. So that puts us at 15 starters. Can you keep those 15 starters in-house? And if you can do so and maintain a little NIL, can you replace – I wouldn't say replace is a bad word, but can you backfill a wide receiver position for Pat Bryant? I don't necessarily know that you need to do it with outside linebacker. I think we've got some talent there, but you definitely need to do it with T-Raw Edwards and Dennis Briggs. Do you have some money allocated to go get a defensive lineman or 2 in the portal?
100% they do. I know that while it's 12th or 13th in the league, I think that's going to move up here real soon. When you're playing in Premier Bowl games and you're seeing the home attendance blow up and you're selling out more games than you had in the previous 10 years, I think the money is there and it will be there. So I'm not saying it's going to be a top 6 or 7 Big Ten. Maybe I think inside the top 10 is very, very likely.
Yeah.
So
I do want to address St. Dominic Rosary's question about why is Iowa able to get some of these top kids from the state of Illinois?
Coleman's going to graduate and he'll be attempting to be an NFL player. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Coleman's done. He has no more eligibility.
Yep.
And I doubt he would play in the bowl game even if he could. But I wanted to address the SDR's question about these guys that are going to Iowa out of the state of Illinois. Well, there's one big miss here. I shouldn't say it's a miss, but it's the Epinesa kid out of Edwardsville. Dude, his brother AJ played at Iowa, right? His brother AJ
played at Iowa.
Yeah, to go turn on Sunday Night Football right now. Well, AJ number 57 for the Bills, I believe, still is in the NFL, and so it's a little bit of legacy going on there. And also, hey, listen, Iowa has been the best team in the traditional Big Ten West the last 5 to 10 years. They did a breakdown on Illini guys, I believe, about like the wins over the last 5 years. Like we're up there with Wisconsin now, but Iowa's been a really good program for a long time. There's a ton of guys in the league that are there. So yeah, a guy like Bert Goucher out of Sycamore, yeah, sure, that's a miss, but that's a 200-pound linebacker. Yeah, he's a 4-star. He's a good player in that top 200 nationally. But outside of that, like Iowa's not beating us for a lot of kids. The Epinesa kid is the big one, is the best player in the state. But you're dealing with legacy there. It's really hard to do.
And I told you guys a lot of this. Illinois just didn't offer Sam Laporta for real. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't push for him. So
previous coaching staff.
Yeah, but I'm just speaking in terms of how Iowa's gotten some really good Illinois kids. There's just times where they take precedent over some of what our coaches like and don't like. Sometimes it happens. Yes, Caleb Johnson's going to the pros. We're going to get to the Illinois-Arkansas game and what we think of Illinois and what we saw from KJ and Tomislav. We'll get to that shortly. Lazy Forrest Gump. I appreciate that.
Hey, Billy Most said it so perfectly. They talked to Aiden Lawfrey after the game, and 2007 is the last time Illinois won 9 football games. Aiden Lawfrey is a 2024 kid. What is he? He's a third year in this program, right? So he's 20,
yes,
21?
He was born in 2003, 2004, something like that.
So he's 3 or 4 years old the last time we won 9 games. So Bill Moe said it right. Dude, we've sucked for these kids' entire lifetime. We've been joked about that Northern Illinois, like if you rank the Illinois football programs, it was Northwestern, Northern, then us. There was jokes at times that Illinois State or SIU were better when they were doing really well in FCS. So that's the challenge, is you're having to change the stigma of who Illinois is, and winning 8 games in 2 of the last 3 years is really, really key. Now, and I'm going to stand on this right here. Listen, Illinois had a phenomenal opportunity the last time we won 9 wins in a season. We had a lot of kids coming back, but we lost some, and Ron Zook screwed that up. And 2009 is arguably the most talented Illinois football team of my lifetime. Go look at that roster. Look at the guys who are in the NFL, who played in the NFL from that team. It's impressive. And we couldn't win because of coaching, not because of talent. We were within 10 of a really good Missouri team in 2008 in St. Louis. I have more confidence in what this coaching staff is doing because that 2007 team won 9 games with NFL talent everywhere. This 2024 team, like I said to start the show, is a 6-6, 7-5, 5-7 talent team that won 9 games because they're coached really well. They're coached exceptionally well. And next year's team has been the team that everybody's looked for going down for a while. Grant Beerman said we have 16 returning starters, folks, as of today, out of 22. And we have 18 if you count in the specialists, depending on how you want to look at Fabrizio Pinton or Hugh Robertson, and that's okay. And if not, we got Declan Dooley. So there's
we're going to have David Alano still, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much talent that next year coming into the season, Illinois, it will be preseason ranked. My guess is we'll be preseason ranked top 20s. And when you start to do that, you start to change the opinion of these young men who are sophomores and juniors in high school about who this program is. And that's huge. Just like Billy Moe was saying, they suck most of their lives. Well, with some of these kids coming up, we're not sucking anymore, and we're a program on the rise.
Even though we're going to get into our Champaign toast here in a second, I'm not going to mention this for him. I'll let you go first about the Champaign toast.
Sure.
But I want to say this one thing. So we're talking about Iowa real quick. I'm so proud of Aiden Lawfrey because let me tell you, you see Iowa's got running backs going pro right now. Okay, yeah. They've got you know what? Iowa was recruiting him so hard. Iowa wanted it. Iowa was begging him to come pretty much. Like
they wanted to play running back though, because he got recruited as a DB too.
I'm pretty sure they said you can play whatever, but that's not why he came to Illinois. It wasn't because they said, "Oh, we want you just to do this one thing." And one of the things that Iowa told him, and he didn't tell me which coach it was, and that's fine. But I did interview him 3 years ago at a spring game when it was really cold, and he let me interview him. He told me that the Iowa staff told him going to Illinois is going to be one of your biggest regrets. And now look at him. I'm just
tell him to send Kirk Ferentz a postcard from Orlando.
Yeah, I'm just saying. While Iowa has still had some success, and got to go play in the Big Ten title game still since then. My point is that he is helping. He told me he wanted to come help turn around Illinois and make them something valuable, and he wanted he wanted Illinois to be good again, and he wanted to help fix that. So that's what I'm just saying. So if that's not a kid to root for, all you Illini fans watching and listening to this, you should always root for Aiden Lawfrey because he could have easily went to Iowa. Michigan State wanted him, and yes, it would have probably ended up transferring. And Mel Tucker got fired. The point is, he had other offers to go other places that were sexier at the time.
Hey, can I dive into that a little bit, Mel Tucker?
Right now, go for it. Sure. Fine.
Yeah. All right. So first off, Brett Bielema and what he did this year would have put himself in contention for Big Ten Coach of the Year and National Coach of the Year if it wasn't for what a couple of guys have done. Right. National Coach of the Year, I think, should go to Cignetti, and he deserves that. Right. Second, my number 2 guy would be the guy at Arizona State. We talked about him on Fade the Deuce.
Big Thirsty. What's up?
Maurice. No, we talked about the coach down at Arizona State and what he's done. Those would be my number 1 and number 2. I think Bielema would probably be about 3rd, right? But I've heard a lot of Illinois fans. Some of them have jumped on here and talked, well, why can't we do we should we should be able to do what Indiana did. Now, I'm not directly comparing apples to apples here, but 3 years ago, Michigan State was the new IT program in the Big Ten, and what Mel Tucker did specifically in the transfer portal. And I ask you right now, would you rather be us or Michigan State? Right? And do I think that will happen with Cignetti? Probably not, because especially if he signed that extension, if he's going to stay there, because it does change things. But listen, Indiana ain't going 11-1 next year, folks. I'm just telling you that right now. It's not.
I'd say 75% of those guys who contributed to this year's team are gone. They're graduated.
Right. And you don't have another pipeline of transfer portal guys from your previous school of what you built. Now, granted, I do think Kurt Cignetti can really coach, and I think Indiana is going to be a problem in this conference for as long as he's there. But that's not how you traditionally build a program. And I think he caught a little bit of lightning in a bottle, not only with the kids that he got, but he also conveniently ducked Oregon and Penn State on the schedule. Hey, listen, he conveniently ducked not coming to Champaign this year. Let's be real. Let's be honest with that.
I'll be honest. I think Illinois would have clipped him in Champaign.
Possibly, depending on when it happened and what kind of fan, where we were ready to take him on. Yeah, absolutely. So that's just – listen, as we look at Brett Bielema is building a program, and guys, we've had 2 8-win seasons in the last 3 years. It is phenomenal. So
I don't know. I saw that Andy Kotelanicki from Penn State interviewed for the West Virginia job. I've heard Jimbo Fisher's up for the West Virginia job. If they get Cignetti leaves after he signed that deal to go to West Virginia, I'd be shocked. So anyway.
And IU does have a lot of Eli Lilly dollars. Illinois needs to find some Flexengate dollars, some Mark Andreessen money. Hey, can we give Larry Ellison an honorary degree? I mean, he spent 3 semesters at Illinois. Come on.
Tony Khan and Shad Khan have tons of money. They can help out a little. I don't care about the disrespect, blah, 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 about a doctorate or whatever the hell.
Fix it.
Yeah, I'll message them. I'll be like, let's go, dude. Come on, man. I like AEW, but I mean, we need bring some money back to Champaign. A couple mil. Let's go.
Email the chancellor. We're good to go.
Yeah. And just want you to know, all you Big Ten Hoops fans that are still watching, we're about to dive into that for the last 15 minutes of the show. But we'll do our Champaign toast first. Offense, we'll go. Kev, you go first.
Well, you're going to let me do it, dude. I got to take Lawfrey, dude. 170 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 home runs. Kid was awesome. One of the things that he's done well all year is he's run through the ability to run through tackles and still be a breakaway back is impressive. Kid from Gibson City, he deserves his flowers. I know that's an easy one, but I think you got an easy one too. So Champagne toast to Aiden Lawfrey.
And you know what though? And there's another one to mention. I mean, and my toast, Mr. Pat Bryant, who not only I think capped off one of the greatest single seasons, not just because he tied Brandon Lloyd for 10 touchdowns in a single season, which he can break in the bowl game, and I'm hearing some good things. He might be wanting to break it and play one more game with his boys, which it's going to be against a good team. I mean, it's not going to hurt his draft stock. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Oh, am I going up against Bama or South Carolina's deep defensive backs, right? It's one of those two, in my opinion. It's not going to be Ole Miss. So when we'll talk more Citrus Bowl stuff as that comes closer to the New Year's Eve day. But yeah, so Illinois will be heading to Orlando for the Citrus Bowl. Pat Bryant is my Champaign toast because he also broke the record for most touchdowns in Memorial Stadium history. So that man's got so much to hang his hat on. So my toast, Mr. Pat Bryant. And what a fitting way to just catch a ball midfield and just break away with one, right? Like, that was so Pat Bryant.
Yeah, scramble deal, double move. It was phenomenal. And if the agents don't get involved, I think Pat plays. If Pat listens to the agent, he might not play. Like Barry said, in his home state, Orlando's not too far from Jacksonville, where he grew up. Love to see him play there. I think that'd be pretty awesome. And who knows, he can be a Pied Piper too, and potentially bring some other guys who are thinking about sitting out to play one more game. Like a guy like T-Rod Edwards. I think T-Rod needs to put some stuff on tape. I think
I think most of this team's playing. The only one who might not play, in my opinion, is Gabe.
Yeah.
But I still think he should play. But he probably is the only one where you're like, he's probably going to go in the 4th, 5th round or 3rd to 5th round no matter what. So he'll probably.
And guys, we got to understand, like when you turn on a Cincinnati Bengals game and you see Illini littered everywhere, you turn on a Commanders game, you see Illini littered everywhere. This is a good thing. Putting more guys in the pros, as much as we want Gabe Yakis to come back, when he goes pro, it helps guys like Grant Beerman and Cam Thomas decide on the University of Illinois.
Yeah, so I'll start defensively. There was still, I think, a few to choose from. I'm going to go with Malachi Hood.
How can you not?
There's one, though. There's another one I was going to give him some love. There's a big interception, a nice return. Anyway, but Malachi Hood showed you what the Illini coaching staff loved when him and Jordan Anderson. So when I was talking to Jordan Anderson before he committed a few years ago, he was telling me like, "Hey, we're coming. I'm wanting the staff to get a look at Malachi Hood, and he wants a chance to come play with me." And I was like, "Okay, well, he's got some smaller MAC offers." And he said, "Man, when the staff sees him work out, he's like, they're going to offer him." So when he worked out for the staff, Ryan Walters was one of the guys there watching with Aaron Henry and some of the other guys. They offered him within an hour and a half of him being there. So, and you got to see that yesterday at Wrigley Field. His sideline to sideline speed, his explosion, his power when he hits you. He nailed the quarterback. He like knocked his lights out. The ball went flying. So you got to see what.
Yeah, that first fumble on the run. Where he came in, he punched that ball out so clean. Now, granted, Northwestern recovered it, so.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of a good one he reminds me of. He kind of has that Kalen Tolson vibe, right?
Yeah, but longer.
Yeah, but so Kalen Tolson was like stocky shit brick house, right?
And left, man.
I missed that. Kalen Tolson was a nice piece that we had that I really liked. But anyway.
Just stuck around, dude. It's just stuck around.
So Malachi Hood has that explosion sideline to sideline, but he's actually a little bit taller and more athletic than vertically challenged, not as vertically challenged. And so Malachi Hood's going to be a nice piece the next couple of seasons for Illinois, and I'm excited about that. So that's my defensive toast.
I'm going to surprise you with mine, Ryan. I love what Mac Resetich doesn't get in for a bunch of snaps, comes in, makes a pick. Xavier Scott should have had 2. My goodness.
I want to bring him on just so we can roast him a little bit. Yeah.
Nah, man. Like we want X to stick around another year, which I think he will. I think there's some stuff on. Yeah. Hey, listen, he was responsible for guarding Henning on a lot of plays, and Henning had a big day. But I'm going to give it to a guy, a little fella who keeps fighting all the time, and he had 2 picks and both of them should have counted. Ain't no way that's pass interference. Torrey Cox Jr., what that dude has been doing for Illinois has been impressive. Like, he fights, he's tough, he makes tackles. I also want to give an honorary mention here. I was so blessed. Aaron Henry called me on Thursday. I was shocked. I was
shameless plug. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. He FaceTimed me. Like my hair was a mess. It was early Thursday morning. Like work, my wife might watch this, so I can't say I was helping getting Thanksgiving ready.
Yeah, there you go.
But I asked him, I'm like, man, who is? He said this team is more connected than 2022, and I'm like, well, who's the guy? He's like T-Raw Edwards. Like we would not be where we are at without T-Raw Edwards. So I wanted to give him a shout out here. But for the actual play on the field on Saturday, Torrey Cox, here's my champagne toast.
That's right. And you know what? I think Torrey's got one more year, I think.
Yeah, he's coming back, dude. He's going to come back. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah, I love it. So I guess he played 4 at Ohio, and he gets a COVID year in there as well. But that's what it is. So
I'm pretty sure I thought he was a junior flat out.
So he redshirted, I think, one of those years. So, well, we can look it up. I don't think he played all 4 at Ohio. And if he did play all 4 there, then –
the COVID years are done. These guys are playing right now.
He had to have redshirted, though. I think he was there 4 years and redshirted.
Yeah, you're probably correct in that regard.
So I'm thinking, how would he get another year? But he is, because he didn't go through the graduate. He didn't go through the senior day ceremony. So
he was he redshirted in 2021.
Okay,
and then 2022 he was a freshman All-American, 3rd team.
Okay, so great. So we get one more year at Torrey Cox. Okay.
I think he can be a pro. I don't give a shit how big he is.
And his brother Taiwan's coming. He's on board. That's great, man. So see what that pipeline – and Xavier Scott's brother, right?
Right. Zane?
Zane? Yeah, something like that.
We got a Newton coming in next year too. I love it, man.
Yeah. So, and I would say special teams-wise, we didn't – I mean –
it's a Lionel and Beatty every week. Like, let's just do it.
And by the way – Beatty, I think, is pretty much locked himself in my opinion, for the returner of the year for the all Big Ten. And I've made my case for Pat Bryant today. I don't want them because, look, it's all about that name, right? Jeremiah.
He should be first team All Big Ten, dude.
Jeremiah and him have the same amount of touchdowns. Jeremiah from Smith from Ohio State has 3 more receptions, but like 50 less yards.
Yeah, so, and then Melton it.
And then Ty from Felton from Maryland. I'm just saying, I don't want him getting shafted because Jeremiah Smith's the best freshman, blah blah blah, forever since Marvin Harrison Jr.
He'll be second team worst off, which is still a great season. So
anyway, so let's transition now try to finish 7 to 10 minutes here with hoops. Obviously, Kev, Thanksgiving was great, but man, watching that team, what we thought that they could look like. What's your excitement level from seeing that team?
Well, I listen to a lot of podcasts after, a lot of Illinois podcasts, some of the folks we promote here. And I don't remember where I heard it directly, but like, dude, we went 15 to 31. And yes, Thomas from 3. And yes, Thomas Slav was 6 of 9. But nobody was cooking where like they're taking really, really tough shots. You're like, oh, that shouldn't go in. I don't think Illinois I don't think I saw us take a 3 where I'm like, I mean, I was really pleased to see Rickhouse take some 3s from extended beyond the line, hit a big one in the second half. I went back and rewatched the game yesterday.
The deep one when they were making their run, right? And they got it down to 9.
Yep.
He took a step back. Yep.
And they're really, really good offensively, and they're really skilled, and we're really good, and we play really good team defense. I think that's some things that have changed a little bit. Like we don't have we're struggling a little bit in transition, both offensively and defensively. And I think that's because we're not the most athletic team. And I think Thiero or whatever his name is, dude, guy's incredible, took advantage of us. I think that's where teams like Northwestern might be in for a little bit of a challenge. So I was just, man, I was a little bit upset, I say, with how the Bears finished on Thursday, but I knew what it was going to lead to, which made me happy. The Thanksgiving game was really awesome. They looked like and I loved this, and I tweeted this the other day. I think you might have retweeted it or liked it about, I want Kylan Boswell to be the true leader of this team, and he's starting to be that guy. And Tomislav Ivicic is so skilled. It's just a really skilled team. It's exciting. Thursday was a ton of fun. And I think it's one of those games, like sometimes these things aren't repeatable. Like TSJ going nuclear, hitting 8 threes against UCLA. Is that repeatable? The unbelievable hot half that Matt Meyer had against Texas, is that repeatable? No, probably not. But this was impressive, man.
This was something that I think consistently can be pretty close. May not be that every game,
right?
But so that's what I like, and I agree.
It's repeatable,
yeah. So, and I'm glad people are saying I will not doubt Brad again. So I want, from talking to some guys who cover the team, who talk to other parents, I get my knowledge and info from, I help share what I know, but then I gather it from other people who know more than me. I've got great friends like Kedrick and Brad Sturdy and other guys who have been covering and watching basketball longer than me. And that's how I learn. And then I help other people through what I've learned. So things that I've talked to and found out is, I said, why is Trey White just not taking his mid-range? Okay. And so it really bothered me. I was like, why is he doing this? So then after, I sit and I watch film and I talk to people, I've come to find out Brad wants the teams. He wants them shooting 30 to 4 threes a game, and he wants layups. He does not want many mid-range jump shots. I want everybody to know this. So philosophy-wise, analytically,
it's the worst shot in basketball.
Yeah, so analytically wise, I want you all to understand that there's not going to be tons of the mid-range shot from this Illinois team. It's more of like a pro team. And you know what I heard, Kev? I heard that they're basing a lot of their offense off the Oklahoma City Thunder offense.
Yeah, and it makes sense. So one of the things, first of all, all right. So think about when you get a layup, right, or a shot at the rim. It's normally you beat a defender, so there's a help defender coming over. So even if you miss that, the likelihood for an offensive rebound is higher on a layup than it is on a mid-range. All right, now let's take that to a three-point jump shot. What happens when you miss a three-point jump shot? The ball, because it's being shot from farther distance, has a longer trajectory away from the rim. It's rebounded offensively at a higher level. The lowest level for offensive rebound rate is the mid-range jump shot. It's also higher of difficulty than the layup and worth the same amount of points. It's purely simple math when you think about it. The mid-range shot, and I know we all love Io, and he was really good at it. The mid-range shot I wouldn't say it's a bad shot, but if you take a lot of them, it's a bad shot. The contested ones are really bad. We hit some nice mid-ranges in that game. Will Riley had one. Kasparis had one late that was unbelievable. The Drew Rain, but you don't want the team taking a lot of those. You really don't want that. And so I agree with the analytics and what it says because it makes a ton of sense. And the first guy to really talk about that was like Rick Pitino. He used to make guys like run if they took a shot with like a foot on the line. And he was like, just take the step back or go or attack the rim. So
I just know you're a big Oklahoma City Thunder fan, so I'm just letting you know if you ever see some similarities, that's what it is.
Well, we don't have a Chet Holmgren or Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
No, but my point is spread, length.
Absolutely, and the Thunder had to do it recently with no big guys, and they still won games. They're still first place in the West while they lost to Houston tonight. But
Houston's coming, man. They're tough.
It's a really good team. It's a really fun young team. They're like the Thunder of a year ago.
Yep. So anyway, as I finish this, so that's kind of what you're seeing with the men's basketball team. And I've got into some debates with people, and they're like, "That's not true. Brad had Kofi Coburn. He doesn't want to have bigs that can't shoot. He's okay with it." And I'm thinking, that was a philosophy he had when he had a generational big man who was so massive and athletic more than. Okay, Kofi Coburn is a unicorn. Like, you don't see tons of guys like that. He wasn't Zach Edey, but the dude was a 2-time second-team All-American. When's the last time Illinois had a big man like that? You know what I mean? Like, Kofi Coburn is a once in a, probably
a Big Ten Player of the Year, in my opinion.
Yeah. So my point is he had Io DeSumo, who was a special NBA talent, He had Kofi Coburn. He didn't play the same way because when you have a big man that can dominate and a guard that can dominate, you don't need to have just let's shoot threes a bunch. You're going to utilize both. So he has changed philosophies. And I think
the same way we're not going to be a one-man fast break this year with Terrence Shannon is get the ball out and just go downhill. We don't have a guy that can do that. So, and that's like Brad has been knocked for not being able to adjust. Like, my goodness, he certainly can adjust, dude. Our defensive philosophy and where it is now today compared to where it was when he started is light years away. And yes, Brian Cook was an All-American. He was not a two-time All-American.
Yep. So, and Kofi, two-time second-team All-American. That's why his jersey's hanging right now. So, I just want to so Brad Underwood has changed his philosophies. He goes with what he sees as successful for winning. And sometimes it's going to irritate people and fans and wonder, like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? But you know what? He still has a guy like Merez Johnson who can do the dirty work, who's going to go get nasty, who can catch the lobs, who can get the putbacks, who's not going to complain. And guess what? Leave Merez open. I bet you he'll knock one down.
He did in high school. He shot much better from three as a junior than he did as a senior, but that's a guy who has that arsenal in his game. And the other thing about it is that you saw Merez get paired up with Zvonimir late in that game, and Zvonimir tried to put the ball on the floor and go around him. Wasn't happening.
Happening. It was a huge play. Yeah. Yep.
So
much to love about this team. The roller coaster that we're on. It could be the Screaming Eagle, and man, we're not even halfway to the top.
And here's the thing, though, as Brad has adjusted over time, and we've had to deal with the COVID kids sticking around, and the portal has become so prominent. I think that this is going to be the style of team that you're going to see Brad move toward. And I think you can see that with guys like Kerry Booth and Jake Davis, who aren't going to play a ton of minutes this year, should be around next year. If they don't transfer out, they might. Who knows?
Hey, Jake Davis with a big three, huh?
Big three. And does the dirty work. But you also see guys like Kutcher and Lee who are coming in. Both those guys are shot makers. Both those guys can extend the floor. That's who Brad Underwood is, and that's what he's going to be. Hey, see you, Barry. Love you, bro.
Yeah, Barry. We're only going to be on another 5, so to see, and just so everybody knows, they're going to continue the European route. I want you all to know this.
Absolutely.
So you might see they're 2025 classes. Why are they getting these high 3-star, low 4-star kids? Well, Brandon Lee, and as you mentioned, Keaton Wagler. Guess what?
I said Kutcher. I'm sorry. I butchered that. So
we do have a Kutcher on the team. He's a walk-on right now.
That's right. I just had a little bit of Freudian slip there.
But Keaton Wagler, an elite 3-point shooter.
Yes.
And guess what? Brandon Lee, an elite shot maker.
Yes.
He just makes shots. It doesn't matter where they're from, but he can shoot from deep. He also is physical and attacks the rim and gets to the basket. But they're hitting Europe hard. They're not done. So they're seeing, you're going to see they went and got this guy, went and got that way. Yes, guess what? KJ, come on down. You're going to get drafted. Tomislav, come on down. You're going to get drafted. Guess what? They're just going to keep going back. And they're seeing this modern style of basketball and how you can develop and play well and get drafted at Illinois playing this way, and they like to play this way. They're going to get a ton of shots up. The pick and roll style is very popular for the European brand of basketball, and that's how they're doing it. And I'm going to tell you what, they devote their lives to this stuff. You think about this. Me and Kevin talk about it like we know it all, right? Well, guess what? We only do this for a little bit of our lives. That's what they do every day while we're at work. What do you think Brad Underwood's doing? Analytics. It's like he's being a dad and all that good stuff, but he's paid a lot of money to know all this stuff. So I'm excited to open Big Ten play next Friday in a sold out Northwestern arena to see how these guys fare against. And what's going to be fun is Illinois is going to know how Northwestern plays, right? They know how to guard Northwestern. Northwestern and Coach Collins, Kevin, they have not played against this new team yet. The only guys they've played against are Draven Gibbs Lawhorn sparingly. So it's like, hey, let's look at our film from last year on this Illinois team. We don't have any. We only have what we've seen so far this year. It's like, so that's really going to be a real big, I'd say Illinois got a little heads up in that. Like,
yeah, it'll be interesting how they deal with the trapping nature of Collins's defense, but I mean, they've got 8 days to prepare for it.
Yep.
I think the arena will have a lot of orange and blue in it. But I think one of the things that Illinois will be challenged with are teams who are like Alabama, like Arkansas showed us, who are extremely athletic and can athleticism Illinois. That is not this Northwestern team. I have a lot of confidence that we come away not only will win here, but also we win our 9th straight against Wisconsin next week.
Set up a huge matchup against a top 5 Tennessee team at
could
home.
Be, yeah, could
that
be.
Could be one of the biggest home games in a long time. Yeah, so.
And I think Avicevic's ability to pass is unlike a big that we've had maybe like since Georgie, but when you're 7'1" compared to 6'9", maybe it's a big difference. So
we're going to go to final thoughts, and if you want, do you have anything in particular you want to talk about?
I did, but I just saw that the tweet got deleted, so I'm not going to say anything about it. So.
Oh, really? Was it just national related, Illini related? What?
No, it's a friend of the show. I'll talk to you about it offline. So.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, that's fine. You can think about it while I'm going here, and so I make some posts. You probably saw my tweet over the weekend about Arizona, and it, I think I was making a factual point, and so many people always love to talk about me and my past and blah, 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 like they know me, my character. But I can tell you this. I want you all to know, I have so many people who reach out to me, and I want you to know, Kev, it's not just you, but a lot of people will message me and see the people who attack me. And they're like, hey, man, I want you to know, like, are you okay? I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for that. Nothing people can say to me on X will ever faze me. I want you all to know this. I know I'm a lightning rod for negativity of people. I really do bring out the worst of people, which to me I actually kind of enjoy, because you get to really see the character of someone when you disagree with them, or you just make a factual statement on social media that they don't agree with, and all they want to do is bring out the worst moment of your life. I feel like, to me, that means I won the argument, because I'm trying to talk sports. You're trying to take personal shots at me. So I want you all to know I have thick skin of armor. Nothing anyone says, no picture they post of me will ever faze me. I will not lose sleep over it. And I want you to know I'm good. And I have a great support system. I have a lot of really good friends and people who I've made over the years doing this show. And I don't care if they attack me. That says way more about them than it does me. And so I just want to let you all know I appreciate you guys all who follow me, who check in on me. But I can promise you that when I'm talking sports and people don't like it and they want to attack me, I don't lose sleep over it. And it doesn't hurt my feelings, because nothing anybody can say will ever be any worse. I've heard it for 11, 12 years now. So I want you all to know God's got me, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I have to say, this is like, we talk offline about this, because I want to come after people like a rabid bulldog and challenge them to a fist fight somewhere. And Ryan always just tells me, hey, dude, it's cool. I got it. It's okay. And I've stopped responding to the haters. I just mute them. So I appreciate you saying that, because I also, I got your back on that one, brother. Like,
yeah, at the end of the day, if I make a comment to somebody and I'm like, hey, I think Kylan Boswell would be a really good leader for this Arizona team that is really undisciplined and blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, you did this 12 years ago. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. I just thought we were talking sports, but anyway, so it's all good.
People don't know the true story. My final thought is, like I said, I had something prepared here, but I saw the tweet was deleted, and maybe this gentleman doesn't want it out. I responded to it, but I'll just leave it at that. But I just want to say here, man, in my lifetime, 1983, I was a little kid. We won 9 games. I was a little guy. 1989, we won 10 games. I clearly remember that 31-21, which seemed like a much bigger score than that thrashing of Virginia in the Citrus Bowl. 2001, the phenomenal Big Ten championship season, in which I'm still mad at our fan base. We didn't rush the field. 2007, we won 9 games. That's it. That's it for my lifetime until this year. It's a 9-win football team, a football team that many of us, rightfully so, had somewhere between 5-7 and 7-5, and it's just really phenomenal. And I'm really proud of what this team has done. And I really hope that this next season we can build off of it. Like I said, I think we'll be preseason top 20.
Mm-hmm.
We got Ohio State coming to Champaign. I hope it's early in the season. I hope it's game 4. And if we beat Duke and they can beat Texas, we could get that elusive game day in Champaign we've been looking for. But regardless, even if we don't get game day next year, that's okay. Is that this team was going to be an 8-9 win football team next year when I look at the schedule. Grant Beerman has got this team in a really good place. If you were to go ask an Iowa fan, maybe they might have a different feel. But if you'd ask every other team in the Big Ten West, which is who we truly competing with, like, listen, we're not trying to compete with Penn State yet. We're not trying to compete with Ohio State yet. We're not trying to compete with Michigan yet. We're not trying to compete with Oregon yet. From an overall program standpoint, we can get there. But we always said, like, everybody on this show, big-time football fans, have said, man, can we beat Iowa? Can we beat Wisconsin? And when you put together back-to-back 8, 9, 10-win seasons, that's what that means. And that's where this program is headed. So big ups to Grant Beerman on what he's done for this program. Buy your season tickets, get on the bandwagon, because they're going to be tough to get here before too long.
And if you can, I am so salty I cannot go to Orlando for the Citrus Bowl.
I can't either, dude.
I'm so salty because this would be so amazing. And just
I'm going to New York City on February 22nd instead. So
yeah. So if you guys can and you don't have any plans for New Year's, I'm telling you, there's really good ticket prices in Central Illinois to go down to Orlando 2-3 days. I'm telling you, man, this is going to be fun. I would love to have a big Illinois showing, even more than they had in Tampa. Like, we had a nice showing, but it was still like, man, I wish we had more people in Florida that cared about it. You know, you'd really like to block, just so you know, black first, second, and third. If you genuinely would like to know, you can hit me up, brother. DM me on Twitter, on X, please. If you have an open mind and can actually think that there are two sides to every story, then you direct message me. I got no problem telling you. So, So please, if you can get to Orlando, please go and support them. I think that'd be really awesome. And thanks for the kind words, St. Dominic's Rosary and Blake.
Appreciate you, man. For real.
Appreciate all you guys. So that'll be doing it for now. We'll be back Tuesday. Actually, we'll be back tomorrow, right, Kev?
Yep.
We'll be back tomorrow with this little surprise special. Just, you know what? It's like it's kind of a plug thing, but it's also kind of like let's let the Illinois fans have some fun with us and just, you know, celebration. We're going to do maybe a celebration interview tomorrow for about 15, 20 minutes. So, and
then we'll be back with Fade the Deuce, which your boy hit 4-2 for a third consecutive week. Just saying.
And he's killing it. So we will be back briefly tomorrow night and Tuesday night for Fade the Deuce. So please subscribe on YouTube. If you guys haven't and you know people who would like to listen to the show, Love Illini, subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate you on YouTube. So appreciate you guys. Swap me out.
ILL.